All right, we are back for part three of painting a dude, painting a space marine, in particular a blood angel, assault dude. We are shooting for, oops, we're shooting for this. Just to let you know where we're at, so you can already see how that's starting to come together. So, what we're going to use is, I'm using this as a replacement, not a replacement, a foundation for all my bone and my parchment areas, but I can't find a good brick color replacement for this in GW's current range. So you could probably get away with something like scorch brown or um, any basically like what I would call a warm brown or a burnt umber, something that's got some warmth to it. So not like a gray or a bluish kind of color. Anyway, if you can't tell, the paint is it's a little dried out on my wet palette here, so I need a little bit of water to help bring it back to life. But we're going to start with this brown, just because it gives us a nice coverage for all the bits that we're trying to paint. Otherwise, bone is one of those colors that you've got to put on like 1,000 layers. But if I put this down, and then bone, and then wash it, and then highlight it, we're good to go. So that saves you really from having to do, this basically takes out a couple layers. How are we going to paint behind this thing? Yes, we're painting behind it. That's what we do. If you don't know why, you haven't been watching my videos. We're just painting up to the edge of the little purity seal. And we're getting behind as best we can. Try not to hit the armor. Okay. Paint the skull. I'm not worried about too much about getting into the eyes because when I wash it, it'll darken that up for me anyway. And same for the edges, so we'll get as close as we can. Perfect. Next is this bit of parchment here. And in areas like this, where it's just kind of like a little raised edge or like the filigree on some armor, using the side of the brush, we'll just hit only the raised areas so you don't have to be worried about being quite as precise. So we're just hitting it with the side of the brush and see how that looks. Great. Okay, same thing over here. I'm upside down, put me down. Put me down. That Space Marine wouldn't sound like a little wussy like I made him just sound. I apologize, Mr. Space Marine. Apologize, Mr. Blood Angel. Okay. That's that. He's got a little skull on his head. We'll do that bone since I've already painted all my metals. Probably would have done that metal if I had noticed it, but... And all my metal's still out here. I could do it if I really wanted to, but I don't. And in some of the little crease areas here, what I'm doing is I kind of put the brush down and then push it forward. And that lets me kind of like almost poke the paint into where I want it, so I don't have to, it helps you from getting, prevents you from getting paint where you don't want it. Specifically in areas like right in there or up against the armor here. I don't want to get on the armor on this side. I just want it over here. So I'll kind of lay it down and then just kind of poke it in. You just jab it in there, like poke it in there. Okay. It's a good idea to rinse your brush off from time to time too, just so that the paint that's on there doesn't dry and cause your bristles to behave weird. And this does need a little bit of water, so we'll get a little water on the wet palette. Because this paint is a little on the dry side, so we'll bring it back to life a little bit there, because it hasn't completely dried out. Now, because of the angle, it's hard for me to get the side of the brush on these little raised bone areas, so I'm being real careful to hold my brush at just such a height, and obviously that's real finesse work, but at just such a height where it's not touching the uh, it won't hit the armor below. But okay, and that's all on that piece. Next arm. Aha, and see the magnets, I didn't mention this, but just a little metal tool I've got here. That's what she said. And they stick right to it, so it makes it easy to paint these guys. I should have been using this before, but I was lazy, didn't want to get it since I'd already started recording. But here we are. Where's my focus point there? Right there, okay. Trying to make it so you guys can actually watch this. That would be nice, right? Paint the back of it because of the wonderful things he does. It was old enough for Wizard of Oz. Let me get a good look at you because I can't tell what's... Okay, it's paper too. Hard to tell what's what on these guys sometimes. Am I right or am I right? Sometimes there's detail you didn't even realize was there until you prime it, and sometimes not until you put like a wash on it, and you're like, oh wait, I didn't even know that was there. Oh, I didn't even see those. What was that from? That's from something. Okay. The nice thing with the big even area here is you can put the brush down and then push just hard enough to get the tip to widen the exact width of what you're painting. That's nice. So we just put the tip down and then we apply pressure till the tip of the brush is the width of what we're painting. It's a little thing that you might not be aware of, or you might just do subconsciously, like I almost always do, but the nice thing about recording these videos and trying to tell you guys what I'm doing is it makes me aware of some of the stuff I don't even realize is going on, so pro tips for me too. Okay. We do want to try and get the top part of this. There we go. And then the skull. More skulls. Blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne. Something like that, right? Oh, corn. You so crazy, corn. You so candy corn. Corn would not be pleased with that joke. Although I don't think he'd be pleased with any joke for that matter. He's just a mean, pissed off dude. Robble, robble, robble. Okay, we got some paper on the arm here. Some little purity seals. I think this is the same as what they use in Horse Heresy when they talk about the oaths of the moment. I think it's the same sort of thing when they get their little oaths. I don't know. I don't know all the lore. Try to be up to date with it all, but there's just so much. Okay. I think that's all of that. Anything on this arm? It appears not. So I think that's it for that. We're going to use this bad boy here. I don't know. I haven't actually looked to see if there's a good replacement for this. I'm going to shake that up though. Yeah, this isn't as bad as the other one. Yeah, it's a good foundation for all the ropes. I like doing the ropes in yellow and the blood angels. Part of why the reason for that is it's a complementary color, or not complementary, supplementary. I forget, but it's right next to it on the color wheel, so they go well together. The opposite would also go well together depending on the scheme you're going with, but that would really make things stand out. So the opposite color of red, if you guys know your primary colors, it's blue, yellow, and red. So the opposite of red is a mix of the other two, which would be green, blue, and yellow. Blue and yellow, blue and yellow. This is a little too thin. You can see it actually starting to run. Get out of there. What are you doing? Why are you so thin? Why are you so thin? Did I not shake up the pot enough? That's probably what happened. Let's see if it continues to behave that way. No, we're pretty good. Okay. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so yellow goes well with red, but so would green if you're playing it right, and so would just primary colors all play well. So blue could play nicely with it as well. But red and yellow are a little closer in temperature than blue, right? Because the yellow is a warmer color, as is red, where blue is a very cool color. So. Right, so we're just painting along the edges here. Nothing fancy. Or nothing fancier than what we're already doing, right? But again, yellow is a lot of the colors that are difficult to paint. Yellow, red in some cases, white. Part of it too is they require so many layers. So anytime you can take some of the work out and get a good base color in first, make your subsequent layers easier to use is always a good thing. Oh, we're in focus. We're pretty good. Okay. I wish this was live and you could yell at me when I'm out of focus. Focus! Okay. That's that one side. Do the other here. Let's put this on. What am I doing? Let's put this on this thing. Let's make my job a little easier. So I'm really focusing on the one side, more just on getting it right up to the armor. And then when I focus on the other side, the top part will just kind of come together. I don't usually have to focus too much on painting along the top. You know, you want to stay inside the lines. But that will kind of happen. And then it's easy just to lay the top of my brush in there and get those bits. Here's where we kind of want to poke in. I'm also bracing my hands here, so any shaking that I have shakes both things equally, so it makes it, if you got shaky hands and have difficulty painting, you need to brace one hand on the other. That will help. So shaky hands aren't an excuse for painting, because I actually have kind of shaky hands. Depends if my blood sugar gets low, if I got the sugar. All right. You stay on there. You stay on there, jump back. Why do you keep moving? Okay. Yeah, color theory, if you don't have some, get yourself some. There's a lot of good articles on it online. And getting the right colors to mix, especially when you're, it might be obvious what color you're going to paint. Sorry, this stick keeps getting in the way. So it makes it hard for me to put in camera for you guys. An ultramarine is blue, but sometimes you still have to make a decision on, what color you're going to paint that little pouch on them, or what color you're going to paint that ribbon, or again, in this case, the rope and all this little accessory and detail. I'm getting a little sloppy. I need to focus. There we go. Okay. So having a little color theory goes a long way. When you see somebody doing something that you might think is ridiculous as well, those guys at Kenny over at Next Level Painting just posted some Centurions he did in green and purple. But if you look at the color wheel, how those play together in a little color theory, you realize that they're actually, they play nice together. Depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for something subtle or you're looking for something vibrant. Like red and green against each other, that puts a real bright, bright's not the right word, but they almost vibrate against each other, if you know what I'm talking about. I might have mentioned that in one of my videos before, but if I did, I apologize. Okay. Yeah. Is that all of it? Nope. Of course you got more rope. This guy's all decked out. He's a sergeant. I probably shouldn't have picked a sergeant to do in the video because he's got so much detail. Oh, my leg's falling asleep again. I gotta adjust them here. Let's try that. Oh, it's completely asleep. When I finished that last video, I went to stand up and I almost fell over. It felt like my foot was sinking into the floor. Really interesting sensation. One singular sensation. You guys know what musical Tourette's is? Musical Tourette's is when you hear a word and then it makes you sing a song. You know, or you hear a couple words, it's a lyric to a song, and then you break into that song. And I have that. I've got it bad. You've got it bad. Wake up and hang up and you call right back. See what I'm saying? Sometimes if you're lucky, you'll get a combo where you'll sing one song and then the lyrics will go into, and there'll be a lyric in that song which goes into another song. That's good times. So if you guys don't do that, you should start. Oop. Okay, I think feeling is coming back into my leg. I think I've moved my position in such a way that isn't cutting off the circulation of my foot. No, it's the whole leg, actually. I shouldn't say foot. Okay. One last little bit. And that is this. I think Mephiston red is the color they use now, but it's not really quite the same either. This is a little purpley. You can kind of see some of the streaks that are in there, the purpley that I'm talking about. But this is what I use for all my purity seals. Especially on red, I want them to look a little different. So it's real subtle, and you don't really notice it until you start highlighting it, but there will be a difference. So I apologize if it looks like I'm not really doing anything. But once it comes highlight time, we'll see that. And you've only got 3 purity seals, it appears. Yep, you're good to go. Okay, that was easy. And now time for Screaming Skull, or Bleached Bone, as you may be familiar with it, depending on how long you've been painting. Okay, Bleached Bone. Okay, so we're just going to take this and try and load it up thick, because even with the brown there, you still want to get good coverage, because this is going to be see-through a little bit. So load it up on there. Don't forget to paint the back of it. And sides. Right, getting real clean edges is really gives the shapes the contrast and the detail, makes them stand out, which is what you want if you're painting, or if you're painting to have things look good, which most of us are. Again, if you're just trying to get it on the table, you're probably not watching videos on YouTube on how to paint. Okay. Sorry. Focus. Let me tell you, that's the hardest thing I've learned in trying to do these videos, is try and keep everything in frame so you guys can see what's happening. And now we can see this guy starting to come together, right? Now we're starting to see it. Okay. Oh, in the top of his head. This one, just because of the size, I'm not worried about detail really. We're just hitting it up with the side of the brush. Okay, good. This has none of that? Okay, good. Yeah, having the arms magnetized makes painting and getting into some of those detail areas so much nicer. It's a little extra work when you're putting it together. And to be honest, I can't be bothered with most models, even though I know it's easier. But especially for, again, a sergeant or an important model, something that you might want to change the options. You know, Blood Angels get a new book, and all of a sudden they get grav guns. I might want to model some grav pistols on my dudes. Who knows? Poor Dark Angels. Came out before, they don't get all the guns. They don't get all the neat toys. They do get divination, though. But then again, psychic stuff has changed, and I don't know if you're going to get many powers off with Dark Angels. Depends on the type of guys you go against. We mentioned this on our podcast last night too, but I think the psychic phase is gonna reel itself back in. Putting too much emphasis on the psychic phase is gonna sacrifice a lot of other things in your list, I feel. And I could be proven wrong, and I more often than not am proven wrong when it comes to 40K. I spend too much time painting than playing and gaming, but I think the armies that really focus on psychic powers are going to suffer. Because all it takes is one turn, and it's not that unlikely to miss a couple key powers, and then you just get taken apart. Or good deny the witch roll here. You know, you can't predict it, it's too random, and the good players, I think, will avoid that. I think there is some, you know, if you take the same sort of list you were always taking and just have the psychic powers anyway, you know, Grey Knights, for one, are going to get a lot of warp charge without having to worry about it. Demons, you know, get it, so. Okay, I think that is all our bits. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to wash this, and you may be wondering, and you might not be, how you're going to make the paper and the bone really look different, especially since we've painted them the exact same way, and even just the shape of them alone really makes them look different without doing anything. But we're going to put some sepia on all the paper, so let's do that now. And we're going to put it on kind of heavy. We want to get we want this to do a lot of the work for us. So I want it on pretty heavy. And again, the paint's going to look, the bone's going to look a little thin, the paper's going to look a little thin. I should start here where the paint is going to be drier. But when you go in after the wash and then highlight again, you won't have to worry about that. So, well, it looks like I need another coat, and I do. I will be getting another coat after the wash. So, same sort of thing with the bone. With the gold. Especially in this red armor, you can go over. It gives the paper a nice little transition, helps it stand down in the armor, and then covers up any spots that you went a little too far with. We've gone too far. Okay. That's way too much wash. Okay. But we're going to let the wash kind of do what washes do and give me some of the detail. Now for the bone, just to make it look like it was once bone, I really like using a flesh wash. So this is Ogren Flesh, but the new one is, I think it's called Reichland Flesh Shade. We'll also do the business for you. Excuse me, I burped. So, oh, and I also want to do sepia on the rope. We'll go back and do that in a minute. So I'll put the flesh on all the skulls. And right away, you're going to see how now the bone and the paper are different. But the same sort of thing. The flesh has got some red in it, some warmth, so getting it on the armor is fine. Well, I almost left this. My phone decided to run out of storage space, but we were so close to the end. We'll amend this back in there. So for you guys, there will be no gap, but for me, a little bit of a gap. Okay, so we are flesh washing our bone. Flesh washing our bone. That just sounds silly, doesn't it? I don't know if I did this. So we're going to do that again. We definitely didn't do this, so we're going to get this guy. This one will be a good example of what it looks like. Because of its size, it'll be easier for you guys to see. Right, so right there we can see the difference between our skulls and our paper and whatever is stuck to the side of this. I also use the flesh wash on the purity seals. Right, so now they're going to start looking different. Aha! Look what we missed. You guys see it? I see it. But I got my colors right here, so I can easily go in, hit that up there. Now I'll have to give a minute before I wash it, but you might have been yelling at me to get this too. And I'm sorry I didn't hear you. Okay. So now we got that, so we'll wash it in just a minute. That'll give us time to apply our sepia to the ropes. Rope-a-dope. The nice thing about washes too, it does feel a little like cheating, but if you've gone we've gone too far, the wash will help cover up any spots where maybe I painted a little more than I should have. So maybe it's cheating, but it gives us a good effect. It's easy, and it's fast. All right, so we're just painting the wash on. In this particular case, I'm going to try and not get it into the little crease of his armor. Just keep it on the top half. Okay. So that's all there is to that stage. No, I lied. Other than doing the, I'm going to go back and give that a minute to dry. I'm not going to make you guys wait. And wash the that little purity seal that I just missed. And then it might be highlighting time. It just might be. So I think that puts us at about an hour and 10 minutes before highlighting for a really, really solid base coat. And even if you didn't highlight at this point, you've got a really good looking model. We'll put them all together and just get an idea of what he looks like in an hour or so. Right, and there's nothing, I haven't done any highlighting at this point. Meaning I haven't done really any fancy layering, so everything I've done anybody can do. Right, so right now you got this guy who doesn't look too bad, does he? He's ready to kick some ass. Right, well, we're going to be going for this. Just getting everything just that little bit brighter. See, everything pops. See what I'm talking about when I'm talking about things popping? Oh, look what we missed. Were you guys yelling at me about that one too? All right. Okay, so we'll stop this video, and then I'll see you guys. I'm going to wash those little bits that I did, and then we'll come back for the final parts.